Okay, I'm back in the cruiser today to talk about the boom Vang, or the Vang. It is this piece of equipment at the front, which attaches to the mast and comes up diagonally and attaches to the boom. I'll talk about the lack of Vang on the Mini and how you can get around that later. But for now, the Vang is important for a number of different reasons. On an upwind or beating or close hauled, we don't usually use the Vang too much. We use the traveller or the main sheet to adjust for twist in the sail. If you looked at my video on the traveller, I told you a couple of important concepts about the wind. The first one was that the wind speed is different from the ground level up to the top of the mast, and I also have spoken in previous videos about the angle of incidence. Sails must have some type of curvature or twist made into them because the angle of incidence lower down on the sail will be different from the angle of incidence higher. See if I can go up. Will be different from the angle of incidence higher up. And as you come down this sail, you'll notice that there is different twist as you go all the way up. So the Vang is not usually used on when you're close hauled. We use the main traveller and the main sheet in particular to adjust the twist at the top of the mast up near the Roach here. But on a reach or a run, when you're going downwind like this, this is when the Vang can be used to adjust that top third of the sail. So kind of important for running downwind. Okay, so how does it work? It works by basically pulling down on the boom and keeping the boom at a horizontal level, because as you push the boom out, it has a tendency to lift up. So in a close hauled position, the boom is usually a center line, but as you move away from a pointed position, you usually push the boom out further and further, and as you push it out, the boom has a tendency to swing upwards. This is because of wind and lift, and what we really need to do is to keep the boom at a level horizontal so that we're getting the correct twist at the top of the sail. Because if it goes up, the leech and the roach will lift up, and the tension will not be right all the way up the top of this line up here on the sail. So how do we know when to use it? Well, from a beam position to a run, we're going to probably need to engage the Vang and pull the boom down a little bit to keep it at that horizontal position. Okay, so let me say that in a slightly different way, or just saying it again. The Cunningham itself controls the Roach. The Roach is this top part of the sail here. So if I get to the Vang, okay, to release it and to pull it back in, you'll notice that the top of the sail is is changing. And basically all the Vang does is it controls that roach. It pulls, because we're pulling down on the boom here, it's pulling down. You need to imagine that the whole sail is being pushed down, and therefore when we pull it down, we're closing the roach a little bit more. If I once again pull let the Vang out, I'm allowing the roach to be released a little bit more. So simply put, once again, pulling the Vang down will close the roach. Letting the Vang be released will open the roach. So without a boom Vang on a boat, such as the Mini, or not using our Vang properly on the cruiser, if we allowed the boom to raise up, what we're doing is we're opening the roach and we're allowing wind to be spilt. And in most instances, unless the wind conditions are really heavy, we don't want to spill too much wind from our roach. We want to harness the wind as much as possible, obviously. So let me just change the Vang here. And once again, on Sailaway, because of the graphics, you don't actually see the boom change angle. All you do is you see the sail change angle. I have no problem with that. It's just, it would be nice if the whole thing was animated a little bit better in that regard. So when pointing or going upwind, usually we don't use the Vang at all in real life. Maybe have a little bit of tension on it, but usually my skipper likes us to release it completely. The reason for this is that we don't is that we usually use the main traveler and the main sheet to control the twist in our sail when we're going upwind. But as we go to a beam and a reach, what we do is we engage the Vang and make sure that we keep the boom at a good angle. So in this instance at the moment, going upwind, it doesn't say anything about the Vang here, but I know that the Vang is set at 100%. I need to release that. Let me get the rest of this sorted out. Okay, so the top of the mainsail is still too tight here. The Vang doesn't seem to be doing anything, but it needs to be released anyway. And I could, therefore I have to, in this pointing position, I need to use the traveler, or I need to ease the sheet to adjust that. And once again, I suggest that you look at the video I made on the main sheet and the main traveler. Anyway, there it is. Let me just turn the boat into a beam position and we'll see what happens. Okay, so our main's going to be completely out of whack because obviously we need to release that out. I'm going to release the outhaul as well. And you can see that we're still not perfect up the top here. So what I could do is go to the Vang and just pull it in a little bit, and that will be fine. If I move even further downwind, to a downwind sort of position, not to a perfect run, but then I need to once again let the main sheet out a bit more. I'd have to do this with the vinegar as well. Let me just get the out haul. I need to release that a little bit more. I'd probably release the Cunningham a little bit, and I'm still not really good. Oh, that looks good. But and the Vang in this wind is not making too much difference. But if I pulled it in more, you'd see that I'm closing the Roach a bit more. So I need to release it until I get that perfect position. Different wind conditions require different Vang settings, and at 6 knots that we're doing here, where am I? I don't know, in the middle of the Great Blue, you need to adjust accordingly. A few other things I'd like to say here just quickly. In real life, in light winds and light seas, my skipper likes to close the Roach a little bit more. Sort of helps get a little bit more out of the puff. Whereas in heavier winds, obviously on a downwind, we want to spill a little bit of wind if we don't want to reef before we reef. And so we would probably release the Vang a little bit more, which will release the Roach, spilling more wind.
Okay, so what about the Mini? There's no Vang on the Mini. How do you get to adjust the tension? Well, let's trim this up a little bit. At the moment we're on a reach, and this could be also applied to a run as well. So let me just first of all set the traveler out a little bit. That, well, we've got to change the out haul as well. It's too tight. I can move the traveler, or I can move that. Okay, so in this position here, I need to move the top of the sail out. The Roach, which is the top bit up on the corner up here, needs to be pulled out. So I could either release more of my main sheet, just like that, and then what I can do is, once I've got it to a fairly stable position, I can then come to my traveler and I could pull it a little bit more, and then once again push out the main sheet, and by adjusting both of these I get the right curvature for the top and for the bottom as well. Now there will be instances where you won't be able to do this. You'll always have a message. Just get it as close as you possibly can, and that will be fine.